everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, we have a little bit of Wheel of Time news to cover tonight, including some casting rumors for Season 2. I'll talk about that and what it could mean for the show, as well as a whole slew of set pictures. Now, these were leaked to us by Narg from the Daily Trolloc. The link to his Instagram is down below in the description box. Click that, go follow him over there. He basically will leak things all of the time, and we'll catch them and then talk about them here on the channel, and pretty much everyone else does as well. They're really, really cool. Now, I have some amplifying information on a few of those pictures, and I'm going to speculate on the rest, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, before we get into the video, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and the notification bell. I usually put out 1 to 2 videos per week, and they're all Wheel of Time and Prime centric. I cover anything and everything to do with Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time show that they're currently filming in Prague. Also, at 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to run a contest. Now, I'll take your input on what you'd like that contest to be down in the comments, so make sure you leave a comment down below and tell me what you'd like to see as prizes or what you'd like to see me do for the contest. But to be entered, you only have to be a subscriber, like, and comment on the video, so it's pretty easy. Now, before we get into the video, spoiler warning. In this video, I will talk about certain elements of Season 1 of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time show. So if you haven't already read at least Book 1 of Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, that's The Eye of the World, be forewarned, I may ruin certain character arcs and plot points. Alright, with that being said, let's get on to the video. Alright, so the first photo we're going to talk about here comes from Instagram, and it features Madeline Madden. Now, this was posted by the Talents Room, reposted by Madeline Madden, and there's a few different captions here that gives us a hint of what it could be. Now, when this first came out, a lot of people get very excited because they thought that perhaps she's looking at the Wheel of Time script and she's doing voiceovers for the show, and they kind of poked at Matt, the innkeeper, and said, get to unblurring, we want to see what's on the script, but I hate to burst your bubble. This is for the Talents Room. Now, the Talents Room specializes mainly in commercials, and the caption on the original photo was this: from the filming of the Wheel of Time, the great Australian actress Madeline Madden jumped into the Talents Room thanks to the great cooperation. So that probably means that she's doing some voiceover work for ads or commercials, which is, again, what this particular company specializes in. But that does mean that a lot of these Wheel of Time actors and actresses that are new, that are fresh faces, that may not have a whole lot of acting under their belt, are starting to get other roles and other jobs because they're attached to the show, is my guess. Now, everyone knows that this is going to be a very big show. It's going to be Game of Thrones and Witcher-esque, at least in size, scope, and what Amazon is hoping for. So I think you're going to see a whole lot more work being thrown these actors and actresses' ways, which is never a bad thing. Now, we're going to talk about those Season 2 casting rumors. Now, this comes to us from Recapped. I've left a link to the Recapped website down below in the description box, but click it at your own risk. It is a not safe for work website, and it specializes mainly in talking about nudity in different films and television shows. So there's that. They also do rumors and a whole bunch of other stuff, news, things like that too, but that's not what they specialize in. Now, this rumor comes basically from a question: are there any rumors or news on Amazon's Wheel of Time? Now, what came back was this: they're currently casting for Season 2 of the Wheel of Time, looking for a young actress to play Princess and future Queen. Also seems like they plan for this to be a long-running series since they're asking for a lot of option years for the role. Now, there's really only one young Princess and future Queen that I can think of that should show up this early in the show, and that's Elaine. Now, pretty much most of the fandom has given up hope that the Tracans will be in Season 1, myself included, and I'm a huge Gowan fan. Now, you can fight over that as much as you like in the comments. You'll never change my mind. He's absolutely amazing. I even got a Gowan tattoo. So, yeah, it's real. It's not just photoshopped. But we're pretty much sure they're not going to show up in Season 1 because at this point, everyone is resigned to the fact that Camelin is probably cut. Now, this comes to various rumors, set photos, different things we've seen over the last little bit, including some remarks from Rafe Judkins, the showrunner himself, who's basically alluded to the fact that they had to cut at least a couple of the major locations that we see in The Eye of the World for money reasons. Now, it does make a whole lot of sense for them to show Camelin at some point, but maybe not in Season 1 because, as we know, they go into Camelin, they're in there for a very short period of time, and they don't visit that city again for quite some time. Now, moving all the events from Camelin to another major city makes more sense, especially if they're going to use that major city a lot more. I mean, why build a set that big and then not use it for a few seasons? So there's that. So this is saying they're casting for Elaine right now, which makes a lot of sense because they're going to start filming Season 2 in early June. Now, we know that the filming for Season 1, Episodes 7 and 8, reshoots, and everything else they have to do should be wrapped by the end of May, and they're going to roll that right into filming for Season 2. So if we expect Elaine to show up at some point or another, and I've done a poll on Twitter asking you folks what you thought, and resoundingly everyone says that they're probably going to see her at the White Tower in Tar-Valon, so there's that. We're probably going to see that Episode 2, maybe 3, so they have a short period of time to cast the role and get them up to speed and get them on set and start filming. So my guess is they've probably either already cast the role or we're sending out feelers in case something falls through, because why wouldn't they have the role cast if they're filming in less than a month? That makes sense to me. Now, that means that we're probably also going to see castings for Glad, Gowan, and a few other major players like Elida early on in the filming for Season 2, at least I hope anyway. But we all know that the Wheel of Time Twitter account that usually gives us news, leaks, rumors, interacts with the fandom and content creators like myself has been very, very quietly recently since it's been taken over by new handlers. So we're not quite sure what they're thinking. But with the rumors that we're going to get a trailer sometime in late May, early June, at least that's what I was hearing a few months ago, we're kind of hoping that perhaps the next big reveal will be maybe one more little teaser and then the trailer itself. So that's what we're all hoping. And then we're getting some stuff like this. So I do know for a fact that Amazon has screened at least the first 3 episodes of Wheel of Time with an option for a 4th. Now, some people have seen a 4th episode, and most of it got cut and didn't make the light of day, but there has been a whole lot of people who have seen the first 3. And I myself have talked to a couple of people who have seen the first 3 episodes, and they've proven it to me. So they did screen them. It was all digital screening. So we're going to see a lot more comments like this as the show gets closer and it comes out, because they tried to screen it to non-fans. At least that's what I understood. Trying to get people's opinion on what the show would be like if they haven't read the books. Now, that to me makes a whole lot of sense, because let's face it, the fans of the book series are probably going to watch it regardless of what it's like, and they're trying to gauge the reactions of people like I've said before, like my wife, who are not huge fantasy fans, or maybe have not read the series but will watch a show like this, because they're going to be their core audience. Now, this particular comment comes back and it says, I've seen the first 3 episodes, albeit not the final versions, and the only nudity I recall is from one of the male leads getting into a bath with Rosamund Pike, who was already in the tub. Cue heads exploding here. Now, it's a pretty controversial statement. It doesn't really happen in the books like that, but we all know they're making a lot of changes, and I have heard that there's going to be very, very light or no nudity at all, at least in the first few episodes in season, and that's on purpose. So I'm not saying this is true. We're going to file this completely under rumor, but I can say that there have been people out there who have seen the first 3 episodes, and we're probably going to start seeing more leaks and things from them as it gets closer to the show, because they're going to start realizing there's a huge fandom out here looking and hungry for information, regardless of their NDAs. So we'll file this one under rumor. Maybe it'll happen, and I can see them doing it at least for shock value, or making it a little more Game of Thrones-esque, or it would play well on the screen, honestly. And we already know there's going to be major changes to the show, so it's quite possible. We'll file it under rumor, though. Now we're going to start talking about some of these set pictures and set photos. Now, these all come courtesy of Narg from the Daily Trolloc. Again, his Instagram link is down below in the description. And this particular first photo is something that Narg has leaked before. We've talked about it at length in the channel another time, but I wanted to showcase it here because he re-leaked it again. And it's just a very, very nice, neat, cool-looking photo. And my guess is probably something from Shadar Logoth. That's my guess. When we see this photo, that's what it looks like to me anyway. And it is very neat to see. Now we're going to get into some ones we haven't seen before. This one here was recently posted on his story only for a brief period of time and then taken back down. Now these steps, the stonework, everything here reminds me of Faldera. Now I can't say for sure that this is probably a picture of the set of Faldera, but we're going to see another photo later on that he also leaked that has similar stonework, similar look to the set that 100% is Faldera. So if I had to guess, I'd say this one is Faldera. That's my speculation. This one here, again, if I had to guess, I'd say this is probably an image from Tar Valon, although I'm not entirely sure. The work in the windows, the way the little wheel type, it's not really a wheel, I guess, the circular type pattern there, looks a lot like what we've seen in the leaked Tar Valon photos, although this could be really from anywhere. It's just a window seat. It's really very neat to see, very high quality, but if I had to guess, I'd say probably from the Tar Valon sets. Now we get a couple of photos of an inn. Now we know there's a few inns in the first book that we're going to talk about here in The Eye of the World. We have the Inn at Four Kings that is going to be very central to the story, and the Wine Spring Inn. They're probably going to be the only inns that we're going to showcase. So we know they're going to see the Wine Spring Inn in the first few episodes, if not the first episode, because we've seen the teasers of Moraine and Lan, and what we've seen in the background seems to match up exactly with the concept art for the Wine Spring Inn. And I mean, why wouldn't they show the Wine Spring Inn if they're showing the first full episode to be pretty much completely in the Two Rivers? I mean, It is called Leave Taking, so you're probably looking at the first 10 chapters of the Eye of the World up to where they leave the two rivers. So this could be, it's possible, could be the inn in the Two Rivers, the Wine Spring Inn, or it could be the inn at Four Kings, because it seems to match a little bit up with what we've seen with the Tom's guitar teaser. And we know that Tom's not going to show up till episode 3 at the very least. That is one of the changes that we do know of from the books. Due to filming conflicts and a bunch of other stuff that he had going on at the time, Alexander William couldn't be on set, so he didn't start filming until later. So he is most likely going to meet Matt and Rand on the road. At least that's my guess anyway, because he's not showing up till at least episode 3. This is the other inn picture, and again, really, really cool looking, really nice. I mean, take these in as I go through them. I'm just going to keep talking about them. But the floor, the stones in the background, everything kind of sort of seems to match that guitar teaser a little bit if you held them side by side. So I would guess that this is probably the inn at Four Kings or an inn on the road to Camelin. If the boys do go to Camelin, and I've already said that they're probably cutting that, so an inn on the road, we'll say, where they meet Tom. That's my guess anyway. Now we have this one here. This one seems to show either Madeline Madden or Zoe in an inn, because this background matches this last photo pretty well. And we know that the only inn that they're in the first season that we're going to talk about is either Berlin or perhaps the Wine Spring. Now we know Berlin's cut. We're not going to see Berlin at all for the first season. So my guess is this is probably a photo from the Wine Spring, perhaps from reshoots, because this was taken just a few short weeks ago. At least one of my sources has told me that anyway. So they're probably doing some reshoots or some additional shots, and that's probably what they're shooting there. Now, this is the other photo I talked about. This kind of goes hand in hand with that staircase photo. This is a photo from the set of Faldera. Now, this is a very obviously cropped photo. You can tell that no one would just take this kind of picture. There's more to this photo, but Narg did crop it when he released it, probably to protect whatever else is in the picture. But it is very neat to see anyway. The stonework, the mood lighting, everything in there kind of matches that stair picture. So my guess is the stair picture is probably a Faldera set, and this is too. All right, so we have a couple more pictures to go through here. This one's full screen because it was a much bigger picture. Very, very cool looking, very HD. So whoever took this did a really good job taking it. And it shows the outside of a massive house. Now, I reached out to a couple of my sources and I asked about this. And what I got back was they think, and this is a think, so file this under rumor or take it with a big grain of salt, that it is probably Nynaeve's house in the Two Rivers. Now, when I thought of Nynaeve's house, actually, I'm going to be honest with you, I never thought of Nynaeve's house at all. But when you think about it, a wisdom house is also a hospital, so it kind of has to be big. She's going to treat patients, she's going to treat people that are sick. Because the Two Rivers is not exactly a very large place, she probably won't have dozens and dozens of people to treat at the same time, but there is the odd chance that she might have a couple here and there. So having a bigger house, having things, the space to treat people does make sense. And when they said that this is probably where Nynaeve treats people, it's probably the wisdom's house, and that is the word my source used was probably. It does kind of make sense to me. At the very least, it does seem to match some of the other houses we've seen in the Two Rivers pictures we've seen before. So I would say this is probably a Two Rivers picture. All right, so now we're going to talk about hashtag Camelgate. Now, when this photo got leaked, a few people got a little bit upset because there are no camels in the Wheel of Time. Why would they put a camel in the show? Well, some changes make sense. Some changes may not make sense to us out of context. But this one makes complete and total sense to me. Now, we're going to talk a bit about this photo. This is a photo from Tar-Valon. Now, I covered this extensively in a video a few videos ago, and if you haven't seen it already, go back and take a look at my Tar-Valon set photo video. I got exclusive information that basically said that this is the set of Tar-Valon, and they built this set in the backlot of Jordan Studios. So, really very neat to see, really very cool. And this is the streets of Tar-Valon. Now, Tar-Valon is a central trading hub and basically a melting pot for everybody in Randland. So everybody goes there to petition the Aes Sedai, to trade. They're a pinnacle of civilization, or they're supposed to be anyway. So it does make sense that pretty much everyone from every culture is going to be there at some point or another. And having a camel there being led around in the streets in what seems to be a market scene or just a street scene does make a little bit of sense to showcase that diversity of culture and diversity of peoples in Tar-Valon. So there's that. But really very cool. Now, we did talk to somebody who was there when they were filming when this photo was taken, and essentially they said that everybody was all abuzz about the camel. He was a big old fluffy boy. Everybody wanted to pet him, and it was really very cool to see. And I've seen a few other pictures of this camel too, not just this one. But this is definitely a Tar-Valon set picture, and I mean, he's a cute camel. I mean, 100%. All right, so we have a couple more pictures here to go through. Now, these ones seem to showcase the inside of a house, and the same source I talked to about that big house picture that we talked about just a couple of slides ago told me that these are most likely pictures from inside that house. Now, I'm using words like most likely and probably because I trust this source. They give me good information in the past, but again, I don't know for sure. I wasn't there. Amazon hasn't revealed the information or talked about it yet, so take it with a grain of salt. But they said this is most likely inside a 90s house. And I mean, we are seeing a lot of herbs and different things showcased in these photos, so it does seem to make a little bit of sense. Now, this last one here is really, really very neat. It basically showcases some of the props and background stuff that we're going to see in the houses. Now, when we all watch the show, we're going to see all kinds of really neat stuff, but we're going to focus on the foreground, the characters, the story. The background will kind of blur by, but the attention to detail that they have here really is fantastic. And as we rewatch the show, and there's some people out there, they're going to do that. I'm one of them. We're going to see and notice more and more things. And stuff like this is probably going to pop up and jump to the forefront after a few watches of each of these episodes. And this is very, very cool. A lot of attention to detail, and certainly not a single Starbucks cup to be seen anywhere. So there's that. Now, there's one more little piece of news I want to cover today, and that is that WatchSeries.com recently broke some news on Instagram that they have information that says that the filming of Season 2 will run from June of this year, till March of next year. So that's June of 2021 till March of 2022. Really, really cool, and that seems to match up almost entirely with the intended time frame of filming for Season 1. Now, we know there are a few breaks here and there due to COVID and other world events where they had to, some stoppages and some other filming that happened outside of the country, but that does seem to be the same time frame they used for filming Season 1 if they used the initial time frame, so it does make a whole lot of sense. Now, that's pretty exciting because we're probably going to see Season 1 this year, and I'm still banking completely on a Black Friday release. Now, I've been told by a few different people, a few different sources close to the show, that was the initial plan, Black Friday release this year. Depends on marketing, depends on how the shoots go, depends on a bunch of different stuff, but that's what they're shooting for. So I'm really hoping to see a Black Friday release, and if I had to bet money on it, I would. And it does make sense. By that time, they'll be halfway or better done shooting of Season 2, and they'll release Season 1. Season 1 will run to the end of shooting Season 2, and then we'll kind of see it carry on, and we'll see, it kind of release around the same time frame again next year for Season 2. At least I hope anyway. So here's to hoping either way. All right, well, that's all I got for you today. Before we go, though, I do want to mention that contest once more. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so we can enter you in that contest when I hit 10,000 subscribers. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see in the contest. Also, let me know what you think of the set pictures, about the Turkans quite possibly being pushed to Season 2, about Camelin being quite possibly cut. I mean, that's pretty much a general consensus in the fandom right now that that's happening due to all the circumstantial evidence, but we have no hard evidence, really, not yet. And let me know also who your dream Elaine, Galad, and Gowan casting could be down below in the comments. I'm a big Gowan fan. I've talked about this a few times before. I have the tattoo, and I can't wait to see him cast. I really, really want to see him cast, but I want to hear who you folks think should be cast as them. All right. Thanks so much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.